Known for epic views of the Northern Lights and other natural wonders, Iceland is a bucket list destination and one that I would absolutely recommend as a solo traveler. With a population of only 290,000 people, Iceland feels quiet and calm. Picturesque streets lined with pastel-colored houses are found in Reykjavik, the capital city, while sprawling volcanic fields dotted with mountainous ranges and volcanoes are only a short drive away. So we made it to Iceland. We flew all night, got in the early hours of the morning. We had a couple hours to nap, and now we're at Sky Lagoon. This is the perfect place to get over your jet lag. We're gonna test out their 7-step ritual. Sky Lagoon is a pretty social space with some designated quiet areas like the sauna, whereas the lagoon itself has a swim-up bar and a pretty high energy vibe. As a solo traveler, I felt really safe and welcome. Views from the lagoon were spectacular, and although I spent about 3 hours in total there, I would definitely stay longer if I could. If you can make time for a full morning or afternoon at Sky Lagoon, I would 100% recommend it. Keep in mind, you can only do the full circuit once per visit, but you can spend as long as you like in the lagoon itself. Like I said, I could have stayed all day, but I had a schedule to stick to. Thankfully, there was just enough time for a quick stop at Smack Tasting Bar, where guests at the lagoon can enjoy light, nourishing fare. Lunch was my first taste of the culinary experience Iceland has to offer. While traditional Icelandic food draws on locally available ingredients, of which there are few due to the harsh climate, the restaurants I tried on this trip combined imported ingredients and outside influences. I'm in Reykjavik and I'm heading to Kol for dinner. I'm very excited. This is one of Reykjavik's top 5 restaurants. They're known for their seasonal menus, their fusion global cuisine, and their innovative cocktails. Now, luckily for me, they have a great assortment of mocktails. You know I like my non-alcoholic drinks. They also have vegan options, so let's go check them out. So the foods here, I ordered off of the small plates menu. So the idea is that you choose 3 or 4 small plates to make up a main. So there were vegan and vegetarian options. I got the mushroom ceviche, which also comes with tortilla chips, but that has gluten in them, so I'm gonna eat it without. And then I've got a celeriac with a tahini sauce, so this looks really good. And I'm getting an off-menu treat, so they're bringing me a yellow beet carpaccio. Thanks to Kol, my stomach was full and it was time to head back to the hotel and get some sleep for tomorrow's adventure. I was already pretty mind-blown by Iceland's beauty, but it turns out this magical country had more than I could imagine in store. I'm at Kvalsvik Hot Springs, and as you can probably tell, this is one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. So we're about a 45-minute scenic drive outside of the city center, and the entire way in you get to enjoy these mountain ranges. It's incredible. It's pretty much holding my breath the entire time in awe. So not only are we surrounded by these beautifully majestic mountains, but there are also black sand beaches here, and right behind me is the Atlantic Ocean. So that's a fjord that you can take a cold dip in if you're feeling adventurous after you enjoy the hot springs. The facilities are constructed on the foundation of barracks built by Allied troops during World War II, using rocks from the surrounding area. And the restaurant actually sources their water directly from the mountain beside the fjord. Paddleboards with life jackets are available for guest use. If you feel comfortable on a board, you'll get the opportunity to enjoy the view from the ocean inlet. Maybe even spot a seal or two. Just keep in mind, the water is freezing. You'll certainly want to wear the water shoes that are provided. After spending the day in the hot springs, I grabbed some lunch at their on-site restaurant. I got to stand up paddleboard and even took a cold plunge in the ocean, so I've definitely worked up an appetite. I'm here at Stormer Bistro, and before I try their signature soup, I'm going to start off with their famous wellness shot. So the key ingredient is xanthan, which is harvested from seaweed, and apparently this is a hot trend in Hollywood as well, so bottoms up. I'm so excited, I'm starving, and my food just got here. So this is the vegan version of their world famous soup. Apparently, it takes 5 days to prepare the base, and it's so popular that they sell more soup than beer. I also just found out that these bowls are made with sand from the beach. That is so good. Wow. Hamsvik was definitely one of my favorite parts of Iceland, but it was time to go, so my taxi picked me up for a pretty amazing ride home. Although a lot of this trip was organized in advance, sometimes the best moments are unscripted, particularly when you have a taxi driver who's one of the nicest people you've ever met and is committed to showing you his favorite spots on the drive back to your hotel. I stopped to hike down and get up close and personal with one of Iceland's many waterfalls. Unlike some of the bigger tourist destinations, there were few people here, which made the experience that much more special. Next up, a friend of my taxi driver owned a horse farm. We pulled in for a peek at the horses, and I was thrilled to be invited into the field to make friends. There are about 80,000 Icelandic horses throughout the country, and these ones in particular were very friendly. This was my favorite moment of the entire trip. Although nothing could top the excitement of the horse encounter, for day 4 of my trip, I had a tour of Iceland's Golden Circle booked, and while it was super amazing to experience all of these tourist hotspots, I actually preferred the excursions by a taxi where I had a little more control over departure times to this trip by bus. However, from a budget perspective, the tour bus option costs less, so this is a big plus when you're sticking to a budget. I'm here at Friedheimer Greenhouse, where 40% of Iceland's tomatoes are grown. There are 4 varieties of tomatoes in the greenhouses, and fun fact, they ship their bumblebees in from the Netherlands. One single bumblebee can pollinate up to 2,000 flowers. I would have loved to spend more time at this family-run farm, but in order to see everything on our tour, I had to board the bus and head to my next stop, Iceland's famous Strákur geyser, which erupts every 4 to 8 minutes. Next on the Golden Circle tour, we visited the Gullfoss waterfall, which translates into Golden Falls. It was so beautiful. And for our final stop, we visited the only place in the world where you can stand between 2 continental plates. This is Thingvellir National Park, and I can't believe I got to walk between the North American and Eurasian tectonic plates. I learned that these plates are pulling apart at a rate of a few centimeters per year. It was a pretty mind-blowing moment for me. After a long bus ride back to the hotel and a quick nap, I headed back into Reykjavik. I'm about to eat at Otto. This is Iceland's first Japanese-Italian fusion restaurant. So the idea is that you order about 3 plates per person and then everyone shares. Now I'm traveling by myself, so I'm gonna eat all 3 dishes on my own. I was particularly excited to find out that they also brew their own in-house kombucha, and they have plenty of vegan options. I absolutely loved the crispy nori and the spread with tofu, sesame seeds, nori, and mint oil. Of all the restaurants I visited on my trip, this was probably the one where I loved the food so much I wanted to take a care package back to the hotel with me. Otto, I can't wait to come back. My last day, I had to catch a flight at noon, so I decided to spend the morning wandering the streets of Reykjavik. Whenever I'm in a new city, I always explore on foot. It's one of my favorite ways to get to know a neighborhood and discover hidden gems. I felt like it was magical to experience Iceland in the moment. But looking back, I'm realizing how life-changing the trip has been for me. Maybe it's the rich natural history, the wonder of Mother Nature at her finest, or maybe it was those quiet moments of reflection and true self-care that Iceland has to offer. If you're looking to discover unparalleled beauty and some of the loveliest people I've ever had the pleasure to meet, then this is a trip you're going to want to put on your own bucket list.